Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Manny. Welcome to Eternal Truth Now, a channel dedicated to injecting God in every conversation, at least a little bit of God. And, what's going on in the United States now, a lot of the news is dedicated to Trump's so-called mass deportations. I have a couple videos in Spanish covering a bit of Gustavo Petro, the Colombian president's kind of reaction, his prideful and just haughty reaction to the United States and Trump, and then his immediate climb down. And so that humiliation, I kind of covered that in Spanish. But I wanted to talk in general terms about, some of the, I've seen some videos of people crying about the deportations. I've seen some videos of people lamenting that Trump is, deporting these migrants. And I kind of wanted to offer my perspective as somebody who's newly in the faith. I have my politics. I'm certainly not a liberal, right? I mean, that goes with, can you be a liberal and be a born again Christian, right? I don't know. But the issue of deportation, certainly a complex one, right? I mean, you're supposed to treat your neighbor as you would treat yourself and rather love your neighbors and love yourself. And I do, but I want the laws applied to me too, right? I wouldn't want some exception of a law made to me. So, I feel like as long as we're treating everybody with the same standard, which is the law, then we're doing good, right? In fact, one of the 7 Noahide laws, so these are the laws for the Gentiles before Jesus Christ came. 7 Noahide laws, one of them is to establish courts of justice and to establish law. And so lawlessness is a transgression to God, right? And unfortunately, for 4 years, I'm not saying we didn't have any controls on the border, but certainly a lot less than we do now, a lot less than historical. I still remember when Obama was called deporter in chief. I think Obama deported more people than Trump did in his first term, right? And this was a Democratic president. The control on the border did not and was not a bipartisan issue. There are recordings of Hillary Clinton talking about if you commit a crime in this country, you're going to get deported, which is essentially Donald Trump's position, right? So as a Christian, what am I taking away from this? And I think it's a word of caution. It's a word of caution of imposing your need to feel good and your need to do charity, imposing that on the federal government, right? Or like voting your way to charity, right? And we see a lot of this in left-wing states like in California, where out of a maybe even Christian need, maybe out of a humane need, people vote to provide services and more money for homelessness. They spent like $27,000 per homeless person in California, and there's more homeless now than ever. A lot of that money is just siphoned to executives at the very top. It's a lot of graft, but people feel good, right? People feel good voting, that they voted for the good guys. They don't care if the good guys don't do any good. They don't care that the good guys are buffoons, as long as they feel good voting a certain way, right? And that's the issue, right? It's not about your feelings come and go. You can't trust your feelings, right? This is why in terms of like a religious experiment, if you're praying and you're hoping for some feeling, for something that warms your heart, right? And what happens when you don't get that? What happens when you pray and nothing happens? Are you going to stop? Are you going to quit? You're going to stop believing in God, right? No. You have to make a rational decision. You need to view, God has imbued us with rationality. God has imbued us with logic. And so we need to look at these problems logically. So what happens when there has been a severe lapse of security on the border and somebody has to come and clean it up? Are we going to be surprised when they board airplanes into the thousands daily? When there's like millions in this country? I'm not surprised. This is what the American people voted for. This is the enforcement of our laws. This is the enforcement of our country. And are some innocent people innocent in the sense that the extent of their criminal behavior was entering the country illegally or overstaying their visa, right? So let's say that this is their only criminal incident, and we're going to call these people innocent. I'm sure some of them are going to get deported too. It's this collateral damage. It's this extra hurt that happens when you don't do things the right way. And I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us as Americans allowing the border to be open. You know how many, having that border open, you know how many children were trafficked? Okay? Do you know how many women were trafficked? How many people were abused? How many people died on the way over here for a promise of entering the country? I still remember Kamala Harris going to Guatemala and saying, do not come. That didn't do any good. They still came. So it's like, if you actually cared about these people, you would give asylum to those that actually qualify for asylum, meaning that they're being persecuted at home, they're under some kind of actual physical threat, they're being persecuted for their religious beliefs or something like this. But if the barometer is they come from a country that has less economic resources, well, that's like most of the world. That's 6 billion people. Are you going to let 6 billion people in? And then, remember, don't externalize your charity. Are you willing to take in 1 or 2 people? Are you willing to take in 1 person into your home? Because that's what you're asking the country to do. Would you do that? Or are you just offloading this responsibility on everybody else? Because we all live in very nice houses and we live in gated communities and whatever. That'll happen to somebody else. That's my point, right? It's like, it's time to stop deluding ourselves. It's time to stop lying to ourselves in thinking that voting one way for good guys, quote unquote, makes us better. We're not. There are unintended consequences. And these unintended consequences have to be dealt with. And so, what does a Christian person make of these mass deportations? I can't tell you. I can't tell you what to think. I can't tell you what to believe. All I can tell you is this was a long time coming. This was a long time coming, and hopefully it's a wake-up call to people that you can't just kick the can down the road. Eventually, it's going to break. Something's going to give. And this situation needs a lot of prayer. We need to pray for these people that are being deported. We need to pray for, if they're criminals, we got to pray that they find Jesus, first of all. Stop being a criminal. Don't be a criminal here. Don't be a criminal back home. Okay? Bad news. Okay? But if your only crime is staying here, then I pray for you. I pray for you that you go back to your country and you reintegrate there. Or that you get some kind of legal status here, that a deal gets worked out with Trump and whatever that allows some of the people that I've mentioned fit into this prior category that they're able to stay. But the writing was on the wall. The writing was on the wall. And so, we need to pray, and we need to have discernment, and we need to realize that just having this permissive attitude to a variety of subjects, whether it's the homeless in California, just throw money at it, let all these people come into the border, no problem. Other ones that are legal, like in this country, like abortion, 1 in 4 children are aborted. It's like murder, right? We're talking out of our mouth in 2 ways. We're saying we need the migrants because we need the labor force, but at the same time, we're killing 1 in 4 babies born in the country. It's like this schizophrenic mentality that is frankly, it's very concerning, and it's not of God. It's not, and this is what happens when you remove God from the equation. Okay, so we need to pray. We need to have discernment. And anyways, I welcome your comments. I welcome your suggestions. I welcome your criticisms. This is me exploring the topic, trying to find what is the truth, what is the right way to do things, what's the right way to think about things. And so again, thank you for watching my channel. This is Eternal Truth Now. My name is Manny. Please leave a like, click subscribe, leave me a comment. Appreciate you. Have a good night.